The soft hum of the early morning filled the tiny flat in East London, a blend of the kettle's whistle, the faint rumble of buses outside, and a little girl's voice humming along to a cartoon-themed song. Thomas Miller, 43, stood in front of the cracked bathroom mirror, buttoning up a faded work shirt. The fabric was stiff, dotted with years of paint stains and the faint scent of engine oil that never really went away. His face was worn, not just by age, but by years of sacrifice. His once athletic frame was now tired, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes shadowed by sleepless nights. On the kitchen table, his daughter Ellie, 8 years old, freckles dancing across her nose, was coloring a picture. "Daddy, look," she said proudly, holding up her drawing. It was a stick figure, one small and smiling, labeled, "Me," and beside it a taller one, in a shirt and tie, labeled, "Daddy the Dancer." Thomas froze. "The dancer?" he asked, forcing a smile. Ellie nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, Miss Hawkins said we could draw what we want our parents to do if they didn't have to work. I said my dad would be a dancer because you dance when you make pancakes." Thomas chuckled softly. "That's just me trying not to drop the pan, sweetheart." But inside, her words cracked something open, something he thought he had buried long ago. Before Ellie was born, before his wife, Claire, passed away, before the bills and the exhaustion, Thomas was a dancer. He used to perform in pubs, small theater shows, even choreographed wedding routines for couples who couldn't afford professionals. He loved the rhythm, the way music could turn pain into poetry. But when life hit, hard and without mercy, he hung up his dancing shoes for good. "Eat your breakfast, love," he said quietly, ruffling her hair and turning to grab his keys. Ellie frowned. "Are you tired again, Daddy?" He hesitated, hand on the doorknob. "A little bit. But I'll be okay. Promise," she said softly. He smiled. "Promise. That evening, after a long day fixing cars in a chilly garage, Thomas trudged home. His boots were soaked, his back ached, and his mind was heavy. But when he opened the door, Ellie was waiting with a grin and a flyer in her hands. "Daddy, look, Britain's Got Talent auditions are happening in London this week." He laughed, exhausted. "Ellie, that's for real dancers. Not old men with sore knees." "You're not old," she protested. "And you are a real dancer. You always said dancing makes people happy." Thomas sighed. "Sweetheart, those shows, they want something special." "Something. You are special," she interrupted. "Mom used to say you danced like your heart was talking." He froze. "Claire." He could almost hear her voice again, soft, teasing, musical. "Tommy, when you dance, it's like you forget the world." He looked at Ellie, her mother's eyes staring back at him, full of innocent belief. That night, after Ellie fell asleep, Thomas sat in the living room in silence. He looked at an old photo, him and Claire, arms around each other after a small theater show. They were younger, alive, unstoppable. He whispered to the photo, "You'd laugh if you saw me now, huh?" He opened his laptop and typed, "Britain's Got Talent, auditions London 2025. The next morning, Ellie was already awake when he walked into the kitchen. "Daddy, are you gonna do it?" she asked eagerly. Thomas hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. "I don't know, love. It's been years. I'd make a fool of myself." Ellie climbed onto the chair and hugged him tight. "Then I'll be your audience. Even if it's just me, I'll clap louder than everyone." Something in that moment changed him. He smiled, really smiled, maybe for the first time in years. "All right, Ellie girl, let's make fools of ourselves together." That week, he practiced secretly after work, in the garage, with the smell of oil and rust mixing with faint notes of Ed Sheeran playing from an old phone speaker. His body resisted, stiff, creaky, tired, but his spirit woke up like an old flame rekindled. He'd dance until the world disappeared, until all he could feel was rhythm. And when he caught sight of himself in the side mirror of a parked car, sweating and panting, he didn't see a broken man anymore. He saw a dad trying again. Audition day. Ellie was practically glowing with excitement as they stood outside the London Palladium. "Are you nervous?" she whispered. "Terrified," he admitted. She squeezed his hand. "Good. That means it's important." They walked inside, bright lights, buzzing crowds, and a line of hopeful performers stretching down the hall. Singers rehearsed scales, magicians fumbled cards, comedians practiced jokes. And then there was Thomas, a dad in work boots, holding a USB stick with his backing track. When his name was called, his heart nearly stopped. He walked on stage. The lights were blinding. Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, Alicia Dixon, and Bruno Tonioli stared back at him from behind the judge's desk. Simon tilted his head. "Hello there. What's your name?" "Thomas Miller," he said, voice shaking slightly. "And what do you do for a living?" "I'm a mechanic," he replied. "But, tonight, I guess I'm a dancer again." A few chuckles rippled through the audience. Simon smirked. "A dancer. Okay, Thomas, surprise us." He took a deep breath. The music began, Ed Sheeran's Supermarket Flowers. At first, the crowd was unsure. A middle-aged man dancing to a slow, emotional song, it wasn't what they expected. But as the minutes passed, something changed. His movements told a story, of love, of loss, of resilience. Every turn, every step carried emotion raw enough to make the room fall silent. He danced like his heart was bleeding and healing all at once. By the final chorus, the crowd was on their feet. Tears filled Amanda's eyes. Even Simon's face softened, his usual poker expression melting into genuine awe. As the last note faded, Thomas dropped to his knees, breathless, trembling. Then, from the side of the stage, Ellie ran out. "Daddy!" she cried, wrapping her arms around him. The audience erupted in applause. Amanda wiped a tear. "Thomas, that was beautiful. You didn't just dance, you told us something real." Bruno stood up, clapping passionately. "That's what dance is about. Emotion, heart, truth." Simon leaned forward. "Thomas, I wasn't expecting that. You came in looking like a man who'd given up, but you just reminded everyone here what it means to live." The audience chanted, "Golden buzzer. Golden buzzer." Ellie looked up at Simon hopefully, whispering, "Please, Mr. Simon." Simon smiled softly, and pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from the ceiling, showering them in light. Ellie laughed through tears, spinning under the gold rain, while Thomas stood frozen, overwhelmed, emotional, and completely reborn. He looked at her and whispered, "We did it, love." And in that glittering storm, for the first time in years, Thomas didn't feel like a tired mechanic or a grieving husband. He felt like the man his daughter believed he was all along. A dancer, a dreamer, a dad who didn't give up. The golden confetti still clung to Thomas's hair as he stepped off the Britain's Got Talent stage. His hands were trembling, partly from adrenaline, partly from disbelief. Ellie was still bouncing beside him, her tiny fists full of glitter. "Daddy, we did it. You got the golden buzzer. Simon pressed it for you." He laughed through tears, voice breaking. "For us, sweetheart." But as the cheers faded behind the curtains, a new sound filled his ears, silence. The kind that follows when a dream you never thought possible suddenly comes true, and you don't know what happens next. Dash dash dash. Backstage, a young producer hurried over, smiling warmly. "Thomas, that was incredible. The emotion in your performance, we could feel every beat. Can we get a quick interview?" Thomas nodded nervously, clutching Ellie's hand. The camera light flicked on. "So, Thomas," the interviewer began, "you've just earned the golden buzzer from Simon Cowell, an incredible moment. Tell us, what made you come here today?" He swallowed, eyes glistening. "Honestly, my daughter." Ellie beamed up at him. "She reminded me that dreams don't have an expiration date," he continued. "I used to dance, before life got complicated. I stopped after I lost my wife, Claire. I thought that part of me was gone. But Ellie, she made me realize that when you stop doing what you love, a piece of your heart goes quiet." He paused, glancing down at Ellie. "Tonight, I just wanted to make her proud." The interviewer smiled softly. "I think you made everyone proud, Thomas." Dash dash dash. That night, after the show aired, their small flat in East London became something else entirely, a beacon of joy. Thomas's phone exploded with messages. Old friends, neighbors, even strangers online. "Mate, you made me cry. Your story gave me hope. Never too late to dance again." For the first time in years, Thomas felt seen. But as the excitement buzzed, another feeling crept in, fear. What if it was a fluke? What if he couldn't live up to it in the next round? That night, long after Ellie had fallen asleep, Thomas sat alone on the sofa, watching the replay on his phone. He saw himself, older, slower, unsure. But he also saw heart. Every move had meaning. Every tear had truth. Still, his chest tightened when he thought of Claire. He remembered the last time he danced, the night before she passed. The hospital room was quiet, machines humming softly. He'd played their favorite song on a tiny speaker and danced beside her bed, gently holding her frail hand. She smiled faintly and whispered, "Promise me, Tommy. Don't stop dancing. For me, for Ellie." But he did stop. Until now. The next morning, Ellie jumped on his bed. "Wake up, superstar." He groaned. "Superstar. More like super sore." She giggled. "Daddy, you're famous. My teacher showed the video in class, even Mrs. Parker was crying." He rubbed his eyes, smiling. "Crying, huh? Maybe she stubbed her toe." "No," Ellie said seriously. "She said you showed everyone that dads can be brave too." That hit him deep. Because bravery wasn't about dancing on TV. It was about showing up, even when life had broken your rhythm. Later that week, Thomas received a call from the BGT team. "Thomas, congratulations again. You'll be performing in the semi-finals in 2 weeks. We'd love to help you design something even more powerful." He froze. Semi-finals, wow. Okay, yeah, I'll give it everything. But as soon as he hung up, panic settled in. His first routine had been personal, raw emotion. What could possibly top that? He wasn't a professional choreographer. He didn't have backup dancers or stage effects. All he had was heart. And then Ellie, who'd been quietly drawing on the couch, looked up and said, "Daddy, maybe this time you should dance with Mommy." He blinked. "What do you mean, love?" She held up her drawing, 2 stick figures again, holding hands under stars. "Like in heaven. Maybe you can dance for her this time. So she knows you didn't forget." His throat tightened. "Yeah," he whispered. "Maybe I can."